Hi class, in this video we are going to go over the entirety of Unit 3, 3.1 Prehistoric Music, and 3.2 Ancient Greco-Roman Music. So today we're going to be going over both Prehistoric and Ancient Greco-Roman, but I really want you to look at how cultures developed, how instruments developed over time and through these early peoples. And I really want you to think like an archaeologist. How does an archaeologist know what music was like during these times? We do not have a recorded audio or video record as it wasn't invented. So how do they know what it was like? First thing I want you to learn about is an ethnomusicologist. An ethnomusicologist is somebody who looks at ethnic cultures and ethnic groups and sees how they use music within their societies. They also look at artifacts like an archaeologist to see how music was incorporated and used. So they're going to be looking at things like paintings, remains, and any sort of written material that they may have. We do have some very early instruments. And the very first instrument that we used as humans was the voice. We first discovered this as infants. If you look at babies, you'll hear them babble and coo, and they're finding their voice, and they're able to mimic melodies faster than they are able to mimic speech. Very interesting to listen to them. We also discover the drums. Once again, think about a baby discovering their surroundings. They bang on stuff. Think about ancient early peoples. The babies would have done that too, and they would have discovered, oh, this is interesting. People would have developed in adding patterns and creating music with these methods. Eventually, flutes were created, and they were either from wood or from bone, and it was hollowed out bone that they drilled holes into. The oldest discovery on record is from between 35,000 and 40,000 years old. So really old, very ancient instruments. Stringed instruments did not appear until after the bow and arrow. But if you think about it, suddenly you've got the bow and arrow, you're hunting, but you're pulling that string and it's making that pinging sound. Well, they realized, oh, that makes sound. I can make music with this. I can make it interesting. Most of their instruments are found in the environment. A bone flute made from bones, they've hollowed out. Drums made from wood. All of these instruments are made from around them. String instruments were made from animal hair and animal hide. These were all found instruments. Very, very early music theory started in Mesopotamia, and we do get some written examples, like you can see over here to the side. We still have no idea what it says. We can't read it. We have a vague idea. We can make some educated guesses, but we will never know exactly what it sounds like. This was for a voice and a stringed instrument. Now, the oldest complete example is Sicilius epitaph, and it's an ancient Greek notation. And we do have a better idea of what this sounds like as it is complete, and it's in Greek. So we have some more information. So take a listen to a clip from Sicilius epitaph. So what did they use music for? What was music for? It had two main uses, secular and sacred. Now, I want you to memorize these two words because I'm going to use them all the time this semester. I'm going to ask you over and over again, what is secular? What is sacred? Well, secular, this is of the people. This is having to do with government. So court musicians in Egypt, war procession in Israel. We've got clay flutes and bronze bells and tombs. We've got the Imperial Music Bureau in the Qin Dynasty. Sacred, this is religious, having to do with any sort of religion. So in Egypt, we get Hathor, who's the goddess of music and motherhood. from the Hebrew people, we get psalms, and many of these psalms are still used today. We also get the shofar, which is this horned instrument over on your screen, and that is still used in Jewish ceremonies today. Now, early music was often based on the pentatonic scale. Think like pentagon, penta meaning 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So their scale only had 5 pitches in it. Typically, it would have these 5 pitches, the black keys, but it can be any arrangement. If you were to go to a keyboard or a virtual keyboard and play just the black keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like it is on the screen, that is a typical pentatonic scale. This is very, very common in children's songs because it's very easy to pick up and understand. It's also common in a lot of Native American folk tunes. It's very common in Indian folk music and folk music from around the world. This is an easy scale to build upon, and it was an early discovery. As we move into ancient Greece, we get the Muses. The Muses were music. That is who they were. They were the goddesses of music. And so music was very deeply ingrained into their culture, but also into their religious studies. They felt that the gods used music to organize the universe and make it understandable and visible. We can see a lot of this in the paintings and drawings that came from this time. They had theater happening, they had music, and they were all coming together. In this picture, you can see that there are some lyres on the wall in the back. And it was a strong part of their educational system too, not just their religious system. We also got Pythagoras, who discovered acoustics. So acoustics, that's how the sound echoes and how the sound waves move. He also talked about music of the spheres, which was the idea that the planets in the world vibrated at the same acoustics, the same frequencies as instruments, as pitches. And so if you go onto Google, I will post this in our checklist for you to watch, but go find out what Donald Duck has to say about the music of the spheres. There's a really old clip of Donald Duck going through music of the spheres and talking about how that worked out and how the ratios of our notes in our current system match the ratios of our planets. It's really interesting. We also get the doctrine of ethos, emotion. So only one emotion per piece. We don't want to go from happy to sad. It's just pick one and be done with it. We also get catharsis, which has to do with emotion and emotional release. As we move to Rome, we get some more festival music. Think about, they're out conquering, they're celebrating, so they have lots of music for those celebratory moments. In Christianity, we get the banning of instruments. Instruments during the Roman times were purely secular. They were not sacred. They were of the people. They were not religious. Romans also built amphitheaters, and these were places where people could gather, where people could listen to music and see plays. And the design of an amphitheater is that of a mouth, with the stage being the back of the mouth and the teeth being where the people would sit. And so it was designed to project the sound out. They didn't have projection systems. They didn't have microphones. There was no way for the sound to travel. They used architecture to allow the sound waves to bounce to where you could hear it better. Music was also very important to the military. They used horns to communicate with each other, but also to motivate their troops. Think about military going forward in time. Drums are also used so that the troops can keep in time with each other, especially if they're migrating over large pieces of land. It's much easier to stay in step with each other than have some people walking faster or slower. Keeps everybody together, and it's very unifying. So here's an example of an amphitheater. And so where the people are standing, this is their stage, and you can see how it projects outward. And that's that shape of a mouth where the sound is just going to bounce up the steps so that even the people in the furthest row can hear clearly. Here's another example. Once again, those people in the furthest row are going to be able to hear clearly just because the amphitheater is designed for sound waves to bounce. Now, instruments from Greece and Rome, there are some similarities. We have the aulos, which is a double reed horn, a lyre, it's an ancient form of a harp, kitartha, an instrument very similar to the modern guitar that would develop later. Panpipes, some of you may know what these are. These are flutes that are arranged in different lengths. They're used by quite a few different cultures. You also can see them in different Native American cultures and other cultures around the world. And we also get the hydraulis, which is an ancient pipe organ, but it uses water to operate it. So I want you to go and find out what some of these items sound like. Use this QR code on the screen, and it has a playlist where you can listen to several of these instruments. And I want you to go and listen to them. And I want you to pick one that you really like, and I want you to tell me about it. Class, I hope you enjoyed listening to some of those instruments. Remember, please watch these videos before coming to live class. If you ever have any questions, please contact me. I'm here for you. Bye, guys.